Julie Ryan, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, I'm so delighted to be here. Thanks for the invitation to join you.
Yeah, wonderful to have you. And I'm just we're just gonna go right out of the gate. Can you tell me what is an angel?
A spirit that is energy. Everything's made of energy, and it's a spirit that is its own species, and it is a messenger. It's a helper. It's a guardian. It's lots of things, and they're around us all the time.
Okay, so you define them as a species.
Yeah.
Do they have a particular place of residence?
Well, in non-physical, what a lot of people refer to as heaven or nirvana, depending on what the culture is. And they're their own species, is my human frame of reference for that, Derek. People will say, well, my mom died and now she's an angel. And say, no, that's like comparing a schnauzer to a daffodil. They're different things, they're different species. Human form is a human spirit, right? And angel spirit was never a human. It's just always been an angel.
Okay, wonderful. And the reason I started with that is because I saw your diagram on your website of the 12 phases of transition. And in this diagram, it shows these different angelic souls. We just had a motorcycle go by. In the diagram, it shows these different sort of as someone's dying, angelic beings come and assist, and then other entities come. Could you talk a little bit about uh, this process? And I'm really curious how you discovered the 12 phases.
Sure, be delighted to. The process is a configuration of a gathering of angels and the spirits of deceased loved ones and the spirits of deceased pets that are there with the person as they're transitioning, as they're in the dying process. Now, this is the case, Derek, regardless of how somebody dies. So if somebody dies very instantly, like in the case of a homicide or a suicide, or their death is prolonged over days, weeks, months, even years, everybody goes through the 12 phases of transition as I perceive it. And I've worked with thousands of families who've had a loved one who's dying. And it's a glorious component to the dying process. I find that there's lots of information out there about near-death experiences. There's information about grieving, and there's information about the afterlife, but there's not a lot of information about what happens when somebody's actually dying. And I think that's what scares most of us, especially those of us that have been raised in a Western culture, because we're taught when you die, you're either going to fly or you're going to fry. And that's what people are afraid of. So my 12 phases of transition help people understand what's happening, and it gives them a lot of comfort, whether that's the person actually who's dying that hears and reads about the 12 phases of transition, or whether it's a family member or a loved one. It provides comfort to everybody that witnesses it, or that feels it, or that just sees my diagrams.